southbound, northbound, yes, 7536 Street, lines on the shoulder.
My name is Jason Collington. I'm editor of the Tulsa World. I'm here with Corey Jones. He's a member of the public service journalism team at Lee Enterprises. He's got a new series out on an old subject that he's reported on for years now about fatal pursuits when it comes to law enforcement going after people on the streets of not only Tulsa but in Oklahoma. Corey, every time we post one of these stories about a fatal pursuit where someone dies, we get a lot of comments on social media. When you've read over those, what is the one thing that people keep saying the most when it comes to look after they read your stories?
There's a lot of talk about what these folks were doing at the time of the fatal pursuits, and you know they're driving to church, they're dropping off their kids at school, they're running errands, just going about their lives, commuting to work in the morning. When tragedy befalls them. Because
there's sometimes that on Tulsa streets, the law enforcement are going more than 100 miles an hour on a residential street. What are those scenes like when you've come upon them?
Some of it's really, really chaotic. There's a lot of heartbreak and disbelief in some scenarios. In other situations, you know, I've seen law enforcement be sort of happy about capturing the person they were chasing, regardless of what the consequences might have been.
In all of your reporting that you've done so far, what is the one thing that's kind of stuck with you? What's a story or a person or one of those innocent drivers driving down the road going to church? Which stories have kind of stuck with you?
It's hard to pick one because they're all tragic and heartbreaking. You're talking about a human life, sometimes multiple human lives in one deadly chase. And you're losing mothers, fathers, daughters, sisters, you're losing your family, and for something that most law enforcement experts would probably argue is not worth it. Not worth it to chase, and certainly not worth, you know, someone losing their life. And so to see families try to grapple with that is really difficult.
Because you have talked to some survivors of these crashes.
I have.
Some that are very young, some that are old. One other thing that I think for me that stuck with me is the fact that there are some communities this is not a problem because the police have policies in place where they don't go after pursuits. I remember an episode that on television where TPD actually told an officer, stop pursuing and following a policy that they had. But not every community is dealing with high-speed pursuits in their residential streets. That's not the case for everybody.
No, and some agencies do probably what you would argue a better job of governing chases than other agencies. And there's some where, you know, the chase will be called off by one agency and picked up later on by another agency. So you just kind of have this patchwork of training and practice and protocol.
Find this latest series on TulsaWorld.com.